So when I was a kid, I was super hyperactive. My mom actually told me I used to hop around instead of walking. I was really clumsy too. And I used to trip on everything below my eyesight, to the point where all the pants I owned as a kid had little ripped holes that showed my knees every time I wore them. Not a fashion choice, just horrible depth perception. So the combination of hyperactivity and clumsiness caused me to get a lot of embarrassingly weird injuries. So I thought what better idea than to share these stories on a platform that's filled with positivity, niceness, and a kind-spirited, lovely atmosphere. So this one time, me and my siblings were playing at a Pizza Hut ball pit, and my brother had a genius idea.
Hey, let's climb up that wall and play on the roof.
So being the mature older sister, I looked at him for a second, and then I was like, that sounds awesome, let's do it. So he quickly climbed up the net wall of the ball pit and sat on the roof. So I followed him, thinking if he can do it, I can. Of course, halfway through the climb, my foot got stuck on the net, and I tripped. It was a pretty tall ball pit too, so I fell a considerable amount. And it wasn't a graceful fall either. It was the arms and legs flailing, trying to hold on to dear life type of fall. So I landed very awkwardly with my entire body weight on my ankle. And I think I was about 11 or 12 at the time, so technically a kid. Honestly, I'm just saying that to justify how I started screaming and crying after I fell. So I started crying and my mom heard me, came in, and needless to say, our lovely family lunch was ruined. So I got back home and for a while I didn't really feel anything. I mean, my ankle hurt a little, but I could move my foot and I walked fine, so I didn't go to the hospital. So the next day I went to school and I came back and my mom noticed that my ankle started to get a little bit swollen. The next day came and my ankle got even more swollen and it was getting harder to walk. Fast forward a week and it didn't seem like my ankle was getting any better. So my mom thought, let's just go get a checkup. Maybe I bruised the bone or something. We got to the hospital and the doctor said that my ankle was broken and I had to put it in a cast immediately. So I had broken my ankle and walked on it for an entire week without knowing. I was so embarrassed of how stupid that sounded that I just never told anyone the true story. I would just say I fell on it and it broke. And that it's all my brother's fault. Weirdly enough, the next story I'm about to tell is also my brother's fault. Interesting. So me, my brother, and my friend were playing outside one day, and again my brother swoops in with the genius ideas and says that each of us should collect little rocks and chuck them at each other like a water balloon sort of game, but with rocks. And I have no idea why that sounded so fun at the time. The funny thing was, the rocks weren't actually the thing that injured me. Earlier that day, I had dropped a carton of milk on my toe, and my toenail sort of cracked at the middle. Just a tiny crack, didn't hurt or anything, but there was a little piece of broken nail that just popped out, and I don't really know why I didn't think of filing it down. So we were playing, chucking rocks at each other, and one of the little rocks hit a little bit close to my toe. So I stopped the game, and I told both of them about my toenail and how they should aim away from it. So in my brother's attempt of being funny, he was like,
"Oh, you mean this though?"
And he was trying to freak me out by stepping on my toe but not really stepping on it. Brother of the year, I know. So the little part of the toenail that popped out got stuck on the sole of his shoe, and when he pulled back his foot, he ripped off the entire top half of my toenail. It was the worst pain I had ever felt in my life. I had a full-on horror movie scream scene. So I didn't really have the courage to look down on my toe, and my brother and my friend helped me limp my way back into the house to show my mom. And it turns out that my brother's shoe didn't rip the toenail completely off, and there was a little piece of it still stuck to the side of my toe. I think I should have put a warning at the beginning of the video for the squeamish. Oh well, too late now. So at this point, me, my mom, my brother, and my friend had no idea what to do. We obviously had to get the toenail off, but none of us had the courage to actually touch it. So I ended up going to the hospital, and the doctor had to give me 2 shots of anesthetics in my toe just so he could be able to rip the rest of the toenail off. I think this goes without saying, but I've been planning my brother's death ever since.